Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Lisa, and today in this video I'm going to talk about goals, motivation, and fears, and why it's important to talk about all those three things together. Okay, let's start with motivation. And there are two types of motivation, and people, they don't usually see and consider motivation from those two angles. And if we talk about motivation, we have to consider two things: extrinsic motivation and intrinsic motivation. And what is the difference between two of them, and why it's important when you do something that you have both of those types of motivation. Let's start with intrinsic motivation, something that coming inside of you, that it's your true desire why you want to do certain things. For example, you do sports because you like and you enjoy doing that, not because you want to win an award. Or you want to learn a new language because you truly want to do that and you like experiencing new things, not because somebody at your job said it's required to know and study new language. So that's intrinsic motivation. You don't have an award or something like that. It's going to motivate you that you're doing the things. It's your desire. It is coming from inside of you. And we have extrinsic motivation. So extrinsic motivation, so it's basically an opposite thing. So you do the things or you have reward, or sometimes it's even a punishment, and you are doing certain things because you don't want to get punished, right? Examples of extrinsic motivation: you are going to work not because you like the job, but because you need the money. You don't really like it, but it brings you money and you do it just because of the money. The money is going to be an outside reward why you do certain things. Or for example, if you're a student and you are studying for the subject, for the exam, just do you want to get a good grade. You're not thinking about the knowledge you're going to get. It's not your desire why you want to study the subject. You're just worried that you're not going to get a good grade. And it's also extrinsic motivation, not intrinsic. Why it's important to talk about all those two types? Because whatever you do, whatever you start in life, it's important that it's also coming from inside of you. When we have intrinsic motivation, we have a higher chance that we are going to succeed, because no matter what, even if we don't have an outside reward or even punishment, we will still do that because it's coming from inside of us. Sometimes some of my teachers in my language schools, they say, oh, I want to be a teacher because I like when my students get a good grade and that motivates me. But what happens if, for example, when the students get a bad grade? Doesn't mean that teacher is going to lose his or her motivation, right? Because the students are getting good grades. It's important when you start your business, when you are doing your project, when you want to work, especially with people, that you have something that is coming from inside of you why you want to do it. Maybe the outside factors can change, but you will still be motivated because it's coming from inside of you, not from outside factors. That's the most important thing which I wanted to mention about motivation and about the extrinsic and intrinsic motivation. And the second thing I'm going to talk about is about goals. And with the goals, I'm also going to mention a lot of things about fears. So lots of people then don't really understand how fears can correlate together with the goals, but I'm going to explain you why it's important to work on your fears and why it's important to understand your fears. One of the most well-known and most common and most used model which people use to set up their goals is a SMART model. I think lots of people use it nowadays. Some people, they have different interpretations of this model. Overall, what I want to say about goals is that it's very important when you set up your goal, you don't just write, I want to get paid $5,000 per month. That's my goal. That's not enough. That's not enough just to write $5,000 per month. First of all, you need to clearly define in which month is going to be. Okay, next month, within a month, I need to get $5,000 next month. For example, in December 2020, my salary is going to be $5,000. Now, when you clearly define your goal, you have to write all the little steps which you're going to take in order to achieve this goal. So for example, your goal is $5,000 per month. Here's the first step which I have to do, right? Here is the second step which I have to do, the third and the fourth and the fifth, right? So you clearly need to write down all the steps which you're going to take, all the steps which are going to bring you to the $5,000 per month. The same, let's say, about the social media account. Right now you have 10,000 followers, and within a month you want to gain extra 5,000 followers. You write all the steps and your plan, what you're going to do in order to gain all this extra 5,000 followers. Are you going to have a special advertisement? Are you going to have a Facebook ads? Are you going to have a targeting advertisement, or you're going to collaborate with other people? Are you going to have a new ad creative? Are you going to write more posts, more Instagram stories, more engagement with followers? So you have to write it. So I've listed minimum 8 different things which you need to consider in order you want to gain 5,000 followers. So you have to think about the content you're going to create in order to get this 5,000 followers. So that's very important when you set up your goal. So first of all, you clearly need to say when it's going to happen, within the months, within the next 3 months. You have to set up a deadline for yourself, right? When it's going to be. And then you write down all the steps which you need to take in order to get to this goal. Then it comes the work with the fears. Why it's important to talk about fears? Because fears that stop a lot of people from actually taking the actions, or people can take actions but they're not moving forward and they cannot pass this certain point because they have certain fears. So here's the barrier, let's say, and here are $5,000 which you want to earn per month, and here's you. And you come to this barrier and you cannot break it. You cannot jump, you cannot go around, and you cannot do anything. You cannot get to the point of $5,000 per month. Why? Because there are certain fears that stop you from achieving this goal. There are certain fears that stop you from breaking this wall and moving forward. I always say that when you write your goal, okay, you write all the details, you write all the steps which you need to take in order to achieve this goal, plus write minimum 3 fears of yours associated with this goal. Let's get back to our goal of $5,000 per month. We wrote all the steps and all the details. Now let's go to the fears. And what we have here, we write minimum 3 fears associated with this goal. What is going to happen if you don't achieve this goal, if you're not going to earn $5,000 per month? Okay, the fear number 1, you're afraid that you won't have money to pay for your rent. The thing number 2, I'm afraid that I won't have any money to buy a food for myself. Let's say the fear number 3, if you're a student, this money is going to help you to move out from your parents, and your fear is basically if you're not going to get this money, you're going to be dependent on your parents, and that's what you're afraid of. You write all those fears and you start working with them. Like why you cannot move forward. You need to focus on all those things. I have seen lots of people when they start their project, they cannot even start because they're afraid that this is not going to be successful. Straight from the beginning, when they start, they're afraid that this is not going to be profitable. So you definitely have to work on this, because starting the business already with the setup that it's going to fail, it's not the best mindset to start the business. You have to start your business, you have to understand the risks. Yes, that's going to happen. Yes, it's not going to be profitable, and that's okay. But when you start the business, when you start your project already with a mindset that your business is going to fail, I mean, it's going to fail. Because whatever we are afraid of, we are actually getting it back. We are afraid that we're not going to get money. We are afraid that we are going to be super poor. Whatever we are afraid of, we are actually sometimes tend to get it back to us. We attract all those fears back to us. So that's very important that you work with your fears. Throw away all your fears from your mind and say goodbye to them. So for a lot of people, it's easier to actually write them down so you can see the amount of work which you have to do, the fears which you have, and the fears which stop you from achieving those goals. Because whatever you plan in your life, whatever you want to achieve in your life, you have already those opportunities around you. You just sometimes don't see them, and sometimes you don't take them because you're afraid of certain things. So those were the things which are very important to consider if you want to achieve certain things in life, if you want to move forward and go only up and be able to break those barriers. So please watch this video again, or you can ask me any questions if you have in the comments below. And thank you again for watching, and I see you next week. Bye bye.